And for my next project, I'm going to install a line lock. It's a Hurst Line Lock, and I'm going to install this on my 2011 Dodge Challenger SRT8. This particular model was specific for the 2011 and higher. Looks like this is a Hurst control kit. As you can see on there, application is for the 2011 Challenger SRT8. Okay, the first step is identifying the mounting location of solenoid and the master cylinder front brake line with the engine compartment. There's a little map here, and we'll show you what each of these things is. Okay, so here's the vehicle. By the way, zoom out a little bit so you see where I'm coming in from. Here's the front of the car. I'm going to come right in here first to the master cylinder front brake line is this one, and you can see if I rotate around here that front one kind of comes up and runs right in here, and it's the middle one here running all the way across. And the neat thing is the mounting bracket where it's going to mount is right here. Is that not just the coolest thing you've ever seen, that this thing just is sitting here, this little mounting piece, like it was made for this line lock? I mean, why else is this little piece just sitting here right like that? That's insane. That's awesome. They just must have known that you'd sooner or later want to mount something there. So thank you for putting that there. Step 2 is attach mounting bracket to solenoid as shown. My solenoid, I have already done that. Here's the mounting bracket that I attached on there. I did not have Loctite. I don't have it, so I just put it on there, and I figure it's going to be okay. I'll just keep an eye on it. If it comes loose, I'll have to take it off and tighten it back up. But it's got those locking wash nuts on there. I think the Loctite is just more of a feel safe, not really all that necessary when you've got those locking washers on there. So next step 3, tighten the provided adapters to plugs to solenoid as shown. Here's my piece, and I have put, as you can see, a little bit of thread on there. I've got that piece on there, a little bit of thread in there, a little bit of the plumber's tape, a little bit of plumber's tape on that one too. The next step is to ensure that the new brake line routing is understood prior to installation. However, do not attach lines to solenoid at this time. In order to understand what is going on here is I went ahead and threaded it just a little bit, and I went ahead and attached it on there like so, and kind of positioned it. I screwed them in there just a little bit. They're loose. I didn't tighten them down. And then I put the solenoid kind of about where it's going to go, and then I want to show you what it looks like over here. Over here on this side, you can see that's where the master brake line is. So basically what's going to happen is that line is going to come out of there, and then that one is going to go in, and then that tube is going to go back into the other tube. So it's really just going to kind of intercept right here at this spot, wired together here very loosely. Just wanted to see what it was going to look like when it goes in there. So I'll go ahead and take that off now. And I've got next step is to locate the fuse box and engine compartment. Open fuse box lid and unclip the front guard box. There's a picture here how to do it. So here we are on the car. And what I had done in order to unclip those is I basically came in here, and used a screwdriver here to kind of just very gently pry while applying pressure in this direction. And once I got these little clips kind of undone, I was very careful about it because I don't want to break those clips off. But then it just kind of slides in this direction and kind of pops right off of there. The next step is place clean rags under and around HCU in order to keep fluid from spilling on vehicle. Unscrew master cylinder front brake line from HCU. But this is the point of no return. Once I unscrew that, I know I'm going to have to bleed the brakes later. So I'm going to move over here and take a peek at the brakes. And I've never bled the brakes before, and I'm wondering if I have to take the tire off. It would certainly be easier if I did, but I have a pair of jack stands, but I don't know if I want the car up on jack stands or not. If I can do this Without that, I'm going to put the light behind here, show you kind of, you can see the nipple back there. What I'm going to do is reach my hand in there and pull that nipple off. I've done so. Get the light back around here. Sorry, I'm working in the garage in the dark, but so there's that little rubber nipple. See, it's rubber. And so to make my job just a little bit easier, I bought this little one-man brake bleeder kit from AutoZone. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've got an 11mm wrench. The 11mm wrench fits right on that bleeder screw real nicely. In case you're looking for where it is, it's up here at the top of the Brembo brake, kind of like behind the cylinder there. I have not taken my tire off, although I have cranked it all the way to the left here to be able to get kind of behind it a little bit. And this little one-man bleeder screw thing comes with a magnet that it says to attach higher than the bleeder screw. So I've attached that to the side here, and the tube is running all the way in there. Now that seems to me to be like I'm going to be able to do this. It's not time to bleed it yet, but I wanted to make sure I could locate, identify the bleeder valve, and make sure that I'm going to be able to bleed these brakes before I start and complete this line lock installation. I also made sure that I have a brand new bottle of brake fluid here, .3. I've got a funnel here that I just got done cleaning in the sink with hot soap and water. Dried it really good. So I want to make sure I'm not putting any contaminants into the master cylinder here. So here's the master cylinder. I had already opened it up and make sure that it's topped off, so it's ready for its first bleed. Okay, now that I've checked to make sure I'm going to be able to do the bleed, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable about proceeding with this installation. So this step, notice it says avoid spilling brake fluid, especially on painted and or plastic surfaces. Remove any and all excess brake fluid immediately with a clean rag. So here we go. Here goes nothing. Okay, I've switched to a 14mm wrench because it fits on there a whole heck of a lot nicer. Now here we go. You can start to see a little bit of the brake fluid starting to come up there. Okay, I've got that off of there. The instructions said 15mm. 14mm was the right size, and this is now has been unscrewed. Certainly a little bit of brake fluid came out, but I mean, you know, I had all these rags around here. I'm catching it. Not much came out, just a little bit, and I've got that disconnected now. So the next instruction is unclip the brake line closest to the HCU. So coming back here to the HCU, looking here, we're going to unclip that. Okay, I found that the best way to unclip this was to get a screwdriver right here in the top and just kind of pop it in there and pop that, and then this clip just kind of comes undone like that. Alright, the next step is unclip the master front brake line from brake clip assembly. Middle brake line, reclip the brake clip excluding the master cylinder brake from the clip assembly. Okay, well I have done that. It was a little bit hard to do because this flap right here was was very hard, and so I had to pull this forward quite a bit in order to be able to snap that back on with this excluded on the outside. Now if you want to see why they're saying to do that, if you saw earlier, this thing is going to have to come forward a little bit to go in where this is about where it's going to go. So we're going to use the strap here in a minute to like kind of hold that in place about right there. Okay, the next step is thread the appropriate fitting of the Hurst control brake line into the master control front brake line. Thread the other end of the Hurst control brake line into the solenoid adapter. However, do not completely tighten the fitting this time to allow for minor adjustments. And then step 10, thread the appropriate fitting of the Hurst control brake line to the solenoid adapter. Thread the other end of the Hurst control line to the HCU. However, do not completely tighten to allow for minor adjustments. Okay, so either way, you got to get it all in there and get it about right. So what I have done is put the one end in here, making sure it's loose. It's kind of coming over down there, and then put the other one in together right here. I've just kind of hand tightened that, so there's still more tightening to go to make that to make that nice and tight. I mean, I literally didn't even use tools yet, just kind of screwed it in with my hand to that point. Alright, and now, so the other end of this, I need to attach the Hurst solenoid to, so we're going to do that next. Okay, this part of the instructions are a little bit vague. I see now why they had two different sets of instructions. They're like, step one is to attach these two lines first, and then step two is to attach these two lines, or you can attach these two lines first and then attach those two lines. And that seemed a little silly to me until I got it in here and realized that I have not attached this to the unit yet, so it's still all pretty loose. But I've just kind of hand screwed that in like two turns, hand screwed that in like a turn. This stuff up here is just kind of hand turned as well, so it's all pretty loose in here right now. Okay, I found for this part, the best way to do it is to just kind of get everything on there, all four of them on there, like a little bit like I did. What I did is I screwed those ones in first, not tight, just kind of hand tight, and then I screwed these ones in second, kind of hand tight, and got them in there. Now I need to tighten it down with the wrenches. So even that's going to be kind of tricky to get to, but I've got enough room there. Then I even went ahead and did this step and put the washers on there, here and here, and screwed the bolt on. And that I have not tightened down all the way either. I did use a wrench there to get it to that spot, but have not done it real tight yet. So just kind of got everything on there loose. Now next step is I'm going to get the wires, get these tubes tightened down as good as I can, and get those ones tightened down as good as I can, and then last I'll tighten that one down as good as I can. Okay, I've finished getting this installed, put together. It was definitely difficult to get all the parts. They're not like exactly the right size to go in here. You have to bend and push and pull pretty good in order to get all the things in there. And then this one right here caused me a lot of trouble, mostly because it was trying to thread the wrong way, and I ended up having to take that one off completely in order to be able to screw that one in right. And when you get done, one thing to keep in mind is it really should have, like, this should be firm. If you push this up and down and it can pull up and down, it's not in there real snug and firm, then it didn't get a good grip. Okay, so I finished the bleeding, but note, it says step 12. Bleed all back then front on both sides brakes by following the manufacturer's guidelines. I only bled the front, and because that's all I tied into, it seemed logical that I only needed to bleed the front. Seems logical. I got to think this through. I think I'm gonna just I've already test drove it and it seemed fine. Everything seemed fine. So I think I'm gonna just go with the front for now. All right. Step 13. Use the provided tie straps to hold the front brake line to the brake clip by wrapping the wrap around the clip brake lines as shown. The picture is a little hard to see. I'll show you what I did. I just kind of wrapped those clips around there. I should probably tighten that second one up a little bit better, the one on the right. Okay, next step, wiring installation. Disconnect negative battery terminal. Let's do that. I have already done that. Disconnect negative battery terminal. Now here's something to keep in mind when you do that. After you do that, make sure you don't shut your trunk, because you don't have any juice and you won't be able to open it again without climbing through the back of the car and into the trunk, which is kind of hard if you're a big guy like me. Next step, 14. Ground the attached 5/16" eyelet connector to the black wire of the solenoid and ground wire to an appropriate grounding location. Okay, so here's my solenoid, and I've already done this, and I've run the black wire to here first. So that right there was I used a 10mm socket wrench to just loosen the nut. I did not take the nut all the way out, just loosen it up enough to slip the black wire in there, kind of in between the nut and the washer, and tighten it back down. The next step is switch wiring can be run through the firewall by going through the grommet for the hood release hood latch release cable. Now here's the picture. It's a little tricky to see, so I'm going to show you how I found it. What I did is came over here to this side of the car and identified the cable right here. This is the hood release cable, and so I followed it. Saw it kind of went in right there, down. So I'm going to show you where it goes. It's basically that thing right there, and we're going to try to go in. We're going to run the wire in through there. Okay, from step 15, I still don't have the wire through. I kind of pushed it through just a little bit and was fumbling around with it. I'm going to skip to the next step here and try this. It says carefully unsnap the center trim console cup holder with a trim tool. Well, I don't have a trim tool, but I do have this screwdriver. Okay, now. Okay, watch out, Ron. Let's come in here. I'll show you what I did. So what I did is I just kind of took this trim tool, not a trim tool, but this little kind of angled screwdriver here, and you know, put it in there and just kind of pry it up a little bit. That in there and pry it up a little bit, and this thing kind of popped, and now this whole thing just kind of popped loose like that. Okay, so now that I have this, it's just loose. I'm not removing it all the way because underneath there are a lot of wires and whatnot. So suggested 12 volt source. Disconnect the 12 volt accessory cigarette lighter socket. Wiring harness using the supplied 12GA tap connector, and connect the appropriate switch wires to the 12 volt power source and ground wire. See wiring diagram on page 9. And then there's a little picture here of what he had done. Okay, I've got the cigarette lighter detached. It was a little tricky to do, but notice that there is a push button, little doohickey right here that you gotta kind of get your finger on and push down and pull, and then it snaps right out of there. Okay, the next thing I did is I pulled this tape back, used some wire snippers, very carefully kind of peeled this tape that was on here back, because I want to splice a little bit more, like down towards here, because I'm thinking underneath here, down in there isn't a whole lot of room where this thing plugs in. So if I spliced it right at the top here, it might not fit when it's back down in there. There isn't a whole lot of room. So okay, so to do the wire splice, what I'm going to do is, I've got a helper here now holding the camera, my son. He's being awesome at holding the camera for me. So you get these little posi taps are really cool. At first you just kind of put it through like that, and then you take the other part here and just kind of...
You're blocking the hand. Oops. You're blocking something by the hand.
Okay.
Oh.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just kind of put it in here and basically just screw it in. And it taps the wire. I'm sure you don't. And then this tops unscrew here. And what you do is you take your stripped wire and just feed the stripped wire through here, and then kind of open threads up a little bit and there, and then just screw it in, and presto, you got a spliced wire. Okay, the next thing I did after the wire splices, which are still here and spliced, right? I got the wire spliced there. Haven't put them in, haven't done anything in there yet, but I just got the buttons in. Basically, I drilled a hole in my my console here, so that my buttons are going to be up here. I used a half-inch drill to make the hole for this. Then I was able to screw on the thing back there to hold it on there real good. And then I used I believe a 3/4 inch drill to drill the hole for this one, and then that was a good size, and I just kind of pushed it in until it snapped into place. And so now I've got button, button. Those are well positioned. So now I'm going to go study the wiring diagram and see how how I'm going to wire these guys up to this and to the solenoid in front. Got the wire here all the way through both sides of the firewall, so that's good. Okay, let's go over the wiring. So this is the wire coming in from the firewall through the car from the solenoid, and I've got that one running to the brown wire of the button, and then coming out of the black wire of the button going to the black splice, and then the red wire of the button goes to the switch, and then the black wire of the switch circles around and comes into the fuse, and then the fuse goes into the red wire of the splice. And that is the complete wiring set right there on this side of the car. And last but not least, I'll show you how I round the cord from inside the firewall there. I've already put the plastic tubing on, but before I put the tubing on, I ran the wire through there, through here, down and around. I'll probably get some little tie-down straps to make it stay kind of taut in there, but you know, it's not hurting anything that it's a little loose. And I've got it running, you know, all the way down along. So I basically ran it, you know, all the way down here, and I just put the wire through the little tie clips here, so that the brake line clips, before I put the plastic protective coating on, so to kind of hold it in place through there, and then through over here, and I put it through that hole over there, and then you know, attached it to the solenoid, and then put the tubing over it, and that's it. Pretty easy. I just gave it a test. It works.